On the 8th day of the second month, Iwata said, there shall be a Nintendo Direct. And there was one, and it was great. Welcome to my channel, Mr. Paddington here. Today we're going to look at three things. One, there's some retro GameCube games that were announced for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm very excited about that. Number two, the main part of this video, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games are now on the Switch as well. Not all of them, some of them with some limitations, so we're going to talk about that. And what does it mean for the Analogue Pocket? Is it all doom and gloom or not? We'll figure it out. Before we do that, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and let's have a look at what happened on the Nintendo Direct. So I'm not going to go through all the games that were announced. I'm going to focus on the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance releases, because that's what matters to this channel, what matters to me. But I want to still talk about two other games from the GameCube era that were announced as well. Maybe three games? Because the first one I want to talk about is Baten Kaito's 1 and 2 HD Remaster. So these two games were released on the GameCube. They're developed by Monolith Soft, creators of Xenoblade. If you know Xenoblade, it's a huge franchise on the Switch. Maybe you should check this out. It's published by Namco and the Nintendo GameCube. So these are some old games that not many people have tried, but the people that played it have said, hey, these games are amazing. So I'm really excited to have them available on the Switch. They are being remastered, they come in a pack, and yeah, so I'm looking forward trying these RPGs that I missed from the GameCube era. I do have a large Nintendo GameCube collection with a lot of the classics, but I missed on this one. So I'm sure I'm going to try this pretty soon. The second game that Nintendo announced, and by now, I'm filming this a few days after the Nintendo Direct, it already blew everyone away. No one was expecting this. Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime released on the GameCube as well. It's a 3D version, a 3D iteration of classic Metroid. So imagine it's a 3D shooter, but with all the mechanics from a Metroid game, where you need to collect the weapons to unlock different areas and to keep exploring and progressing through the maps. And it's incredible. It looks absolutely incredible. If you have never played a Metroid Prime game ever, just go and get it now. It is one of the best games ever released ever in history. And it looks stunning. It looks incredible on the Nintendo Switch. There's also, you can download it now. If you want to buy it, go and get it now. Nintendo is also releasing a physical copy in a few days. So this is great. Again, another example where a GameCube game, there was a version for the Wii with motion controls in the pack with all the other Metroid Prime games, 1, 2, and 3. I really hate have dislike those wild controls on the Wii with pleasure. So that's probably not the version to grab. The version to grab is this Metroid Prime on the Switch, especially because I want to see the other ones. I want Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption on the Switch remade like this one. So please go and try Metroid Prime because it's an amazing game. So let's start with the Game Boy. So Nintendo announced that a handful of Nintendo games are coming to the Nintendo Switch via its Nintendo Switch Online subscription. So if you are already subscribed, you are getting games like Tetris, Super Mario Land 2, the 6 Golden Coins, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, Metroid 2 Return of Samus, and more. And this is great because this has been rumored for so long that this was going to come to the Switch. This is not the first time that Nintendo is trying to sell you these games digitally. On the 3DS, you could buy these games directly, one by one. On the Wii U, you could also buy these games individually and get a copy for yourself. But Nintendo said, hey, why try to sell you these games individually when you can just pay for them all the time, every month? I think Nintendo has seen that there's a future of subscription-based services and said, hey, you're already paying for Nintendo Switch Online, here's some Game Boy games. What we've seen on the other consoles like NES, Super NES, N64, Genesis, they kept adding games through the year. So no, this is the beginning. I'm not sure they're going to add games every month, but it's a great place to start. Nintendo is spicing things up a little bit just so that you don't have the feeling that, oh, I'm just getting these games again. So they come with some options. You can use different filters on the Game Boy. So it looked like the old regular green and black Game Boy, the Game Boy Pocket, or even the Game Boy Color. You can rewind your game, so if you make a mistake, you can rewind to what you were doing before and keep playing. And it has online multiplayer. I think for the Game Boy you can only do Tetris online multiplayer, which is cool, but I don't know. I've recently been playing like Tetris Effect Connected on the PS5, it's on Switch as well, so that game is amazing. Playing old school Tetris online, I mean, it's a novelty, but I don't know if everyone will go for that. The other two features that they have on Game Boy is that you can save a state, which is common, like all the other Virtual Console games have this, and you can use Nintendo Voice Chat. I don't think anyone ever uses that. No one uses Nintendo Voice Chat. Well, if you use Nintendo Voice Chat, leave me a comment. Why are you using Nintendo Voice Chat? Yeah, I would like to know. Yeah, so those are the other two features that you have on Game Boy. Then we also have the Game Boy Advance games. So right now there's six games on this. They are The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, Super Mario Advance 4, Mario Luigi Superstar Saga, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Kururin, and WarioWare. And all of these are really good games. So I think this is where the value is on the service. The catch is that you have to have the expansion packs, not just pay for your monthly subscription, but you need the premium subscription called Plus Expansion Pack. So if you want Game Boy Advance games, that's what you need to get. These have the same features as the other Virtual Console games and the Game Boy Advance games. You know, rewind, save states, voice chat, and also has some interesting filters. You can be more pixelated, shrink the screen, and things like that. If that's what you want to do, I don't know. I'm not super sold on these filters, but that's what's available to you on the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack. So let's compare some of the features that you have on the Analogue Pocket and the Nintendo Switch Online. And let's think about hardware and the library of games and the emulation itself. So if you look at the features, save states, you can do save states on both. The Nintendo Switch has the rewind function. Also, the Nintendo Switch has online for some multiplayer games, which is crazy. You can play Super Mario Super Circuit online, and that's a great feature. You won't be able to do that on the Analogue Pocket. Let's talk about the library of games, the collection of games. It's a good place to start with, maybe like 12 games on Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. It's a good way to try some of these games, but to be honest, I kind of own all of this. So if you never played Game Boy games, it's a good way to tiptoe into that and say, hey, this is actually some really, really good games. For me, I think, because I have them, a lot of them, I probably will gravitate towards the Analogue Pocket to play them there. Because also, let's talk about the form factor. The Switch, in terms of the size and the screen, It's a little bit bulky to my liking, and I think I would prefer, I don't think I prefer to play Game Boy games on the Analogue Pocket because of the feel and the screen. The screen on the Analogue Pocket is incredible and really, brings those games to life. So in terms when it comes to the hardware, definitely the Analogue Pocket, maybe the Switch Lite, but the Switch Lite, the screen is not that good. So when it comes to the hardware itself, I think I would prefer to play these games on the Analogue Pocket. Now let's talk about physical versus digital. I feel this is a bit of a double-edged sword. I'm a huge fan that Nintendo is doing this because it's good for preservation. It means that these games are not lost in some cartridge, in some platform that like no one played. But at the same time, this is an online service, so Nintendo could decide to shut this down or to try to charge you in a different way to transfer it to another platform or something like that. Like, let's just say, the Wii U or the 3DS, which maybe were not the most successful platform, but they're shutting down. So I don't know what Nintendo is going to do with these features in the future. So in a way, I like having my physical cards, but at the same time, I appreciate that they're available in a different medium. So I don't know if there's a winner in this category, but it's a good consideration to have. At the end of the day, I think both services, both platforms complement each other. They have different audiences and they can coexist, right? Nintendo Switch, one of the most successful consoles of all time, is exposing these great games to new generations and to some people that maybe sold these games or they played them in the past but they don't have them anymore. On the flip side, the Analogue Pocket is a bit of a premium package for collectors and people like myself that like to tinker, play with the cores, and have a large collection of physical cartridges that you want to try. Also on the Analogue Pocket, you can potentially get adapters to play other consoles that are not just Nintendo. So, we'll see if Nintendo ever releases some games like Game Gear, or I don't think Atari Lynx. Anyone's dying to play Atari Lynx games, but if you wanted to do that, you can do that on the Analogue Pocket. So there you go. You have a Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games on the Nintendo Switch online service, which is super exciting. Only a handful of games, the games that Nintendo wants you to play, like Alone in the Dark for Game Boy. I didn't even know that game existed, but maybe it's a great game. I will keep tinkering with my Analogue Pocket because I enjoy doing that. I enjoy playing with my old physical games, trying cores, and I'm excited about what the community is doing with Analogue Pocket. But if you're one of the millions of people that have a Nintendo Switch and maybe never had the chance to play with a Game Boy game or a Game Boy Advance games, Game Boy Advance games are awesome. So I'm very excited about that, people getting access to that. So here's a chance for you to try some games that maybe you missed, but you don't owe them. You don't own them. They're part of a subscription service that you will have to keep paying forever. So, pros and cons. In which camp are you? Are you on camp Nintendo Switch? I just have access to my games whenever Nintendo serves them to me. Or are you on camp physical or camp Pocket? You have a collection, you want to get them all, and you need to be able to touch them and keep them forever, as long as they don't break or the battery doesn't die or they don't get corroded. So pros and cons, there's no right answer, and there's a space for both platforms to coexist. Let me know in the comments where you sit. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and like I always say, keep on collecting.